Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to talk about transmutated electronics. This is a special type of electronics where I have actually transmuted the way it takes in and uses energy at basically a subatomic level and how it flows through. And we are using the primitive electromagnetic fields as carrier waves. And there's a special process of doing this, which is pretty much only known to me. While other people out there generally, with the technology you see in this field, which really this is a new technology, there's nothing like it out there. And to call this radionics is insulting it because radionics, while it is just psychic tuners, there's nothing to them, there's nothing inside of them, there's nothing empowering them, regardless of whether they are semi-digital or have actual chips in them, like a few units do. That doesn't enhance the functioning, it hurts it. To think that you're going to use standard type energies to manifest with is the height of ignorance, and also shows the lack of really advanced thinking and engineering that these people have. But there are no advanced units. All of it is a big con, particularly with the conned SE5 unit that's been pushed on the people for many years, that is highly expensive and really is very old check. Done by people that have no background in this field and have dubious qualifications. But of course, that goes for everybody. There's a lot of these computerized units going out there. And because they've given up on understanding what scalar and what radionic energies really are, they have moved into the frequency realm. These are nothing more than frequency generators. These are, as I said, I've already mentioned one. There's also Copen, who does this with his units. The old, I should say, the new Bruce Copen people, and of course the German Bruce Copen people who are making boxes of junk. So we have to understand that with absolutely no proof that any of this stuff works whatsoever, making a lot of claims. But this is a whole new technology that we are developing. We'll have reams of data and research will be coming out as it is better understood and known. But we'll give you the basic understanding of how this technology works. And as I said, it's foolish when there's such excellent electronics out there that can be obtained for fair prices, to basically engineer a box of garbage from the ground up and have it made, which is what some people are doing, having it made in China using typical manufacturing and producing pretty poor units that are, again, they're just a thought amplified, if they are at all, but they're just basically putting out some sort of common Hertzian frequencies. So this really is not scalar. Scalar are non-Hertzian fields, non-electromagnetic fields that really create everything in the universe. And people have to understand that it's the scalar fields that create the electromagnetic and everything else. So I've talked about this before and I won't go over it. Let's talk about the new tech that I am just releasing right now. Not only is there the new, of course, will be coming out very soon. We already have what are called our elite basic units using this is an excellent little tube amplifier that has been transmuted that is available right now in our elite unit. And it's pretty much that unit everybody can use because it does have good power. The professional unit, I should say. We have two models of that, of the elite unit. I highly recommend you get the professional unit so you can get the very strong amplifier, because that's what life is all about. We have serious blockages, and you're going to need some strong energy, which is beyond your psychic capacity of putting out information, visualization, etc. That is still all part of the process to a degree, but it's very weak, and it continues to show high rates of failure, anybody working with it. So why would you do that when we have technology out there that can be transmuted to give you amazing empowerments? It's just kind of silly. But the people producing this kind of technology know nothing about it whatsoever and don't understand what is it? What is scalar? What are these radionic type fields? And they don't have any answer to it, and they want to equate it with the electromagnetic, which makes no sense at all. But they are unskilled, pretty much very ignorant people that are just living in a delusion to make a lot of money off of you. This is certainly not high tech, and there hasn't been a breakthrough in radionics since basically its inception. Some people have computerized it. Well, that isn't an improvement. That is taking it down a level. There's people who put toxic energies into the machines. All of this has hurt the process, and I don't know of anybody out there that is using anything new that empowers anything. You basically have went through the evolution of that, and people have also been using some sort of, which is the only thing that seems to have some positive effects, is some hologram type technology, which they claim do stuff and change everything in the energetic fields. This is again poorly researched and only claims made by a few. So we just don't know what's going on, and the people involved in this field have been brought off their proper path and have been polluted with all sorts of problems. But I've talked about this before. Let's get into the actual reality, and that's the new tube in power. Now, tubes are very important. They put out they aren't really old tech. They're basically back to the future. These are futuristic technology, way ahead of its time. It did do its purpose in many common electronics, but was then able to be replaced by transistors, which allowed for making much smaller devices, even though these have been miniaturized, and allowed things to last longer, particularly if they're big kind of tubes like this. So people moved away from that, and there also was a manufacturing problem with these. It takes a lot of skill to make these, and is expensive. So moving into transistors was an easy and smart thing for common electronics. For years now, they've been using tubes in electronics that really matter, particularly musical electronics, which have to pick up a certain resonance, which you're not going to get out of a transistor. The other thing they're finding now, and I will be doing many lectures on this because I think it's fascinating and people should understand it, of the complexity and the virtual magic of tubes and how they transfer vast amounts of information that cannot be transferred any other way. We have reached our maximum of data transfer using solid state. We either have to go to lasers or we have to go to tubes. And apparently people want to go to tubes. And of course, they're going to miniaturize these tubes as well, which have been done for a long time, by the way. And a lot of your better electronics that are either audio-based or musically based have tiny little tubes in them that you're unaware of. And these have been made for the last 50 years. But we're going back to using these larger tubes that has a built-in USB, which is loaded with special kinds of transmutation energies. So, and of course, there's different types of these. We have the basic one that will transmute any electronics that has a plug-in. Now, all of our units now have, all of them, our components have USBs in them. And this is something that we watch for carefully. We try and have USBs in everything. And also, the other very important to send direct scalar fields, which are huge data-filled fields that you really can't move any other way. We also have optics right here. You see where it says optics. So that's where you have an optic cable that goes in there where the information is coming from a laser beam. So, this is very high tech, and you got to remember that the people in this field are really bozos that are at very, very low levels of understanding, even in electronic field. And if you get an electronic engineer, they only understand the common electromagnetic functioning of electronics. Yet anything can be modified to encompass many other areas if you have the consciousness and reach the level of understanding of the way everything works in the universe. Now, electronic engineers are basically nowhere near that. So they're looking at the typical Einsteinian approach to things, the typical electromagnetic spectrum and how those work, and the basic frequencies. Now, again, this is good for your toaster. It's good for a lot of electronics, but it's not good when you start getting into consciousness electronics, scalar manifesting machines, or manifesting tech in general. So this entire area is called manifesting science, which covers a wide variety of anything that will assist you in physically manifesting something, whatever that may be. And it doesn't have to be, as people think, money. Obviously, that's part of life, empowering your investments, bringing more success and financial gain to you. But that is just one step on a very long, high ladder. There's reaching higher states of consciousness, connecting to high spiritual energies. And it goes on and on of other goals, being able to master something, whether that's mathematics or playing the guitar. So there's many ways to empower yourself in life, and to do this on a pure consciousness level, the biophysical, the psychic, is near impossible because of the lack of basic energy that your psychic capacities have. While everybody has a certain amount of psychic capacities, these all tend to be very low. And even with a lot of practice, they don't really work that well. And after about 3 to 5 minutes, your psychic powers have been cut in half, if almost totally gone. So what do you do if you want to continue generating energies, particularly complicated, powerful fields of manifesting energy? Well, you have to use amplification tools. And of course, but you have to use special electronics that have been transmuted, meaning we're changing the energy flow in them. And you have to use special types. And of course, these, with the latest interest and almost craze, rightfully so, in tube electronics, otherwise known as valves in Yuri land, there is a lot of excellent electronics out there. If you know the right ones. We've also researched what are the best ones, what work best, what survive over time. There's a lot of junk on the market, and some of it is even dangerous. So you have to be careful what electronics you use, but it's not just the electronics you use, and not just the fact that it has the proper inputs. It has to also be a tube based. It's very critical to use tubes, and that's the big key to this technology. It is not something that is old tech. It basically was tech before its time. And I don't know if there's any old tech, even though I'm not a fan of using old technologies in general. Just as we're using new technologies now, we're using USBs, we're using optic cables. These are the old types, the RCAs, and they still have their place. But the bottom line is that if you want to really get potent manifesting energies, you need to kind of inject them into the machine. Now, there are ways of transmuting your machine. And of course, what normally comes with everything is a transmutation type disc. This is an activator disc for Polaroid film. Since all Polaroid film is the same, we don't need to have an individual disc for an individual Polaroid camera, because what we're activating is the film itself, which is all the same, only made by one manufacturer. And this, of course, we're using number symbols to affect that. So this number represents an energy field that then affects something. Usually, most of our new discs all have 3 numbers on them. It's very important to have multiple activation numbers on things. And this, of course, is one of them. And we have many. So we've moved away from, in the future here, to a single number. And that's really only what that needs. So there's no use putting data on there that you don't need more of it. But I mean, it's an entire process. And also our activation discs, of course, have a special built-in energy. You can see this. This is only one. You can't see the ones that are underneath this. But this is a symbol that activates energy. Also, these are traditional CDs, and what we do with the CDs, we actually have a special type of program in here, which is based mostly in frequencies, musical notes, special symbols that are put in there. Because digital information doesn't work well. This is a unique type of energy that is input into these discs. So you've got 3 levels here. You've got the symbolic, the number that represents an energy pattern. You have an energy pattern with some sort of symbol like this. And then, of course, you have our special data built in there. Now, again, these are just placed underneath the units. And they work fine that way, but of course that's not the highest and best way to do things. So we've been looking at the fact of how can we get energy directly in. And again, you can get it in from your laser with the optic port, or you can use a USB. And again, what you put in there has to be very specific for the scalar energy. So if you're putting in any kind of digital information, you are going to get poor results. As a matter of fact, in our advanced Dragon Force model, we actually have a product that changes everything into analog. We do not want to use digital. Digital is great for many things, but not for manifesting energies. This is something that the buffoonish, low-level, caveman thinking people out there don't seem to get, because they're relying on common science. You know, the common science that hasn't brought us anything in the world. There are no cures. There are no safe, renewable energy. All the same scientists who do that, who are telling us fantasy stories about you can't go faster than the speed of light. You can't do this. You know, all these fantasy stories. Black holes, which have never been proven. So the whole idea is that we have a bunch of speculative or theoretical nonsense out there, and we're supposed to then take their other information. Scientists are just that, scientists. The bottom line is that they're researchers. They really don't know what's going on. It comes down ultimately to the engineer like myself to take that primitive information and make it work in the real world. But we're not going to go by their theories, their realities as the end all and be all. These people have failed, and we got to stop supporting failed technologies, failed thinkers. We are at a horrible time in the history of this planet, and if we don't start getting success and making things happen, we are a doomed race if it's not already happened. But this technology can turn the tides and can actually eliminate all the problems we've created in the long run. This is still, of course, in the development stages, as this technology is only about 1.5 years old and has been tested and has done well, but we are always developing to higher levels as more and more comes in, and as things are affordable, which is fortunately where things are at right now. So the disc way is the average way, but now I've come up with a new way of injecting the energy right in. Now, we are going to inject, as I said, through the optical port here, which will come from lasers as we do all that stuff. And lasers are very, very important. And again, people don't use lasers because they're working in the 1920s tech, or maybe a little bit in the 70s when they used processors before there were lasers. Isn't that wonderful? But the ultimate way to move this particular type of massive informational energetic field is through the use of tubes. And of course, regular computer science is waking up to this as well. And they will be moving their data through tubes. So not only do I think they're very attractive, but they are far from something that is not that is old. Old is relative. Things work that are good, and you use older tech in a new way, meaning that it is cutting edge. The use of tubes in what I'm doing is cutting edge. We have to understand that. Here's our large tube amplifier. There are 7 tubes, including a tube that is a preamp that, again, amplifies that. And of course, I cover every base when you get into these bigger ones. We also use transistorized amplifier here as well. So this is a hybrid unit. It's really a fantastic unit. This is the kind of engineering thinking that only I am capable of. The reality out there is your primitive manifesting units out there, often called radionics or whatever, are very, very primitive. They're just psychic tuners. Now, psychic tuning works to a degree, but it often fails. So most of it is not really at the level that people claim it is. And we really want to get into much better tech that can pick up very complicated informational energetic fields for manifesting. So what you basically have now is we have this unit here that actually just plugs into your unit. And this will serve as a major transmutation process. So this, when we plug this into this particular unit, let's see here, is that right? There we go. This starts the process here of transmutating this electronics at the highest level to accept anything that you start putting through it. Because this is an amplifier. This goes to a transmitter. Here's a transmitter. And then that is then sent to the target using the scalar waves, use the common waves as carrier waves. So, of course, there's the old quantum physics, which transfers everything at this instantaneous level from one photograph or into a photograph into that person. And, of course, that's part of it. So this happens as well. But when you use carrier waves, you get better results, plain and simple. These also not only can be used as straight transmutators, because now this is plugged in. Of course, this has already been transmutated, and you can do it through discs. But this, again, is much more powerful because it's going into the guts of the unit directly. You also, on these, usually include an actual program for something. So that could be for bringing prosperity. You know, we all need a lot of protection out there. A lot of negative energies around that tend to grab us and drag us down, making whatever problems we have in life much, much worse. So if you're having financial problems and you're involved in the negative spin of everything, what's going to happen is those are going to get a lot worse. The same thing with having biophysical harmony problems. So if you've got something wrong in your biophysical, you're going to be, and you get hit with the negativity, it's going to drag you down. And we're seeing that recently at a very high level. That people, because of the negativity of what's going on in the planet right now, people's conditions financially and biophysically are getting worse and worse. So you need to be sending positive energy to yourself 24/7 in that area, harmonizing your biophysical so that you can withstand anything that comes after you. The same thing you want to do with your actual financial. So the bottom line is you need to keep those positive energies, those energies of manifestation in the financial realm as high as possible. This is always a problem because life, again, is very uncertain with these energies. So people that keep their energies high in these areas tend to do extremely well. Those that don't tend to have serious problems, and problems that can amount to some horrible things that can happen in your life if you're not empowering the positive. So it's very important, no matter where you are in life and no matter what you're trying to do, is you empower what you do. And we have new tech to do that. So that's very important to understand. This is our latest breakthrough, where this actually, and this can be used on any unit that, and of course we offer upgrades. So if you have a standard dial unit made by anybody, you can upgrade those using our amps and our transmitters so that you have the latest and you don't have to buy the entire box. These, again, are sold separately. Most of your quote radionic unquote equipment out there don't have any kind of jacks or plugs in them. You're lucky if you have some sort of in jack or out jack. This is even rare in most units. I've always done this, so you can add things on, but most manufacturers don't. So it's a real serious problem. But you can take any radionic unit, no matter how old it is, and you can convert it over using these, and we give you the disc to put under your main unit. Where is that old unit here? And so that you can transfer the energy out to an amplifier and then out to the transmitter. So you can take a unit like this, and of course, using the appropriate discs, This is a transfer energy disk. You put it under the unit, and this is going to pick up the energy from this, transfer it over to here, and then this has a disk that come with it to transfer it to your transmitter. And of course, you can go higher level by getting one of these special transmutation tubes and information tubes, meaning the fact there's also a program on there, as I just mentioned, for whatever it is you are seeking, and we should have several of these. But everybody needs high levels of biophysical strength. So you keep yourself in harmony. So disharmony will cause you all sorts of problems. And pretty much you can say the same thing about whatever it is in life you're trying to achieve. Money, success, whatever you're going through, you've got to empower it. And using the old style methods of just using psychic energy to do things. And that's all these are. These are nothing more. These boxes are nothing more than psychic tuners. There's nothing in any of these. And I have models made 100 years ago up to the most recent ones, and none of them have anything in them. They are just wires connected to dials and a couple of plates. Now, these are psychic tuners, and if you psychically tune into something and do a good job at it, you will get a certain percentage of people will get some results. So the whole idea, psychic power, is unbelievably powerful if you're doing it right, and these are great tools to help with it. So if you have one of these older boxes, then you're in pretty good shape, as long as it's not one of these orgone boxes. Now, these orgone boxes are really dangerous tools that put out very negative energy. So you really can't use those, and I recommend everybody take those and throw them in the trash. But there are lots of other manufacturers out there, and as long as they're not orgonite based, and it's orgonite is the problem, you should not have a problem, and you can use your old dial machines if you like those. But we've gotten over that because our discs have all the codes in it. You don't really need to dial anything in. But if you have a unit like this and you want to use it, you certainly can use it traditionally as you have it, and then get the basically the upgrades. Because there's a lot of people out there that do have equipment. There's a lot more than I thought out there. And all that equipment is pathetically weak and bad. And if you have some of the garbage out there, it could actually even be dangerous. Orgonite is a dangerous negative energy. Now, orgone, of course, is a very interesting energy that was developed by Wilhelm Reich, and that's something that still needs to be investigated. But these goofy little things of plastic with BBs in them are totally worthless with little pieces of metal in there. It's comical to think that these things could do anything. We've tested all this stuff, and generally, while they don't put out negative energy, they have little to no energy in them at all, and they certainly don't have enough energy to change any kind of physical matter and transmute it into something better. It's just not there. And of course, that's what you always want to check with something. Is it powerful enough to transmute what you're seeking for? Not the fact that it's whether it is good or bad, toxic or non-toxic. That's not enough. And a lot of products are not necessarily bad. They are not powerful enough to do anything. But getting back to the transmutation jack here. Now, as I said, most radionic machines don't have USB ports. It shows you how behind they are of not getting into the world. Now, again, you have to use USBs and opticals in very particular ways that only I am aware of. The average person has no idea of how to make a basically, to use the common understanding, to make a program that can be used properly that is scalar based. As I said, digital programs are good for toasters and computers. They're not good for manifesting. Manifesting science is far beyond that and far more powerful, and requires unique science to get it to work in your life. But here's just another one of the amazing breakthroughs that people can get. These are available for anybody that has our older units that needs that has a USB on it. You can get something like this to make your units much stronger. Do check that on our website to move up to the latest and greatest tech. And everything we do is about the latest and greatest, and we make everything modular. So the whole idea is that if there's a better transmitter comes up, well, we'll be able to put that in there and you don't have to buy a whole new unit. Is there a better or more powerful amplifier? Well, you can always upgrade. This is our most powerful one, and of course, as such, also becomes more money. So all of this tech, and this is very big. This is about 18 inches by 12. This weighs 15 pounds. You know, tech is real tech is not the kind of garbage that you get in a little box that weighs a half a pound that has a little chip in it. This kind of moronic way of doing things just shows the lack of engineering capacity of those people building it. So I hope you've enjoyed. Watch for our new releases coming out very soon for all of our new tech. Our new Dragon Force unit that uses this tube amplifier will be out soon, so stay tuned. These are the solutions for everything in life, and we believe that you can use this technology to do almost anything. And you have to be realistic. They're not magic lamps. If you think you're going to make yourself win the lottery or something pop up in front of you, well, you're just kind of being stupid, aren't you? So the whole idea, but this empowers your life. And if you don't empower your life in these stressful times, you will fail. Just pretty much as simple as that. Until next time.